Hey everybody, welcome to Shifty's Club. Today, guys, I've got another really cool video for. Oh, sorry, I was trying to cut that all the way all done, but it's fine. Got a really another cool video for you. This one's gonna be Dark Box. I absolutely love this deck. Oh my god. Um, the weird thing about this deck is that it's literally nothing but basic Dark type Pokemon and Hydreigon. Just kind of get the dark pool kind of going. And also, I promised the guys in the trading post, I was literally like, you guys want to be in this video, just start posting stuff. So, yeah, I'm surprised some of the guys haven't been posting. Boss Bike Mess usually posts like once every like 5 posts. But anyway, guys, I'll get back to that in a second. So, this deck is fairly what am I say? Fairly mobile. Like it can deal with a lot of different situations, um, especially a very weird out to things like Buzz that you normally wouldn't see from most decks. The weird out that I have is technically to use a combination of Eviltal and Malamar, and then just finish with Guzzlord, because that's like the only way that I can figure how to actually beat Buzzwole. Get him down to where I can just shoot him for 100 with 4 prizes. So it's trying to win the prize exchange really, and that's why I have the things like Eviltal. But you also got Hydreigon to make things a little bit easier. Is this like the perfect like best list ever? Absolutely not. Wow, still no one's posted. Cool. But anyway, let's go through some of the cards. I'm sure every one of you know what these cards do. Darkrai X. It's Dark Pulse is the only reason we use it. We can use Dark Head. However, we do have Malamar X, so we can use Dark Head. Dark Pulse for 2 colors, take does 20 more damage for each dart you can touch all of your Pokemon. So that's basically the core attacker of the deck, and it's kind of focused on that attack. However, like I said, you can use other stuff. Like, this is not going to be the one Pokemon you attack with every single game. It's just not. And then Dark Head for dark and 2 colors are 3 dark because we don't run any double colorless. If your active Pokemon is asleep, it does 160 damage for 3 energy. And that's about what Hoopa does, except you need, Malamar. So, and it's good to have Malamar, not because you can attach and use Maximar, but more because you have Hydreigon, which I'll get to in a second. Anyway, that Darkrai, I have 2 of them, and it's one of 2 attackers I have 2 of. The other one is Guzzlord. Guzzlord for 1 dark, each lively, discard top 5 cards of your deck. Any of those cards are energy attached to this Pokemon. I don't use this. I only use Tyrannical Hole and Glutton GX, and usually it's only Glutton GX. For 3 dark, 2 colors, Tyrannical Hole does 180. For 5 dark, Glutton GX, if your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this attack, take 2 more prize cards. And that's the reason why we have it in this deck. It is really good, too. And we can swing so heavily with that Guzzlord. It's not even funny, guys. Things like Hoopa can even drag out Beast Rings the turn before, and it's just like, oh my god. Like, if you already had if you already have access to, like, Lance Prism, you throw down the Hydreigon, and then Hoopa drags Beast Rings, like, they have to end. Like, there's no out to them, that, like, they literally have to get rid of the resources in your hand, and that's kind of hard for them to do. So yeah. But anyway, let's get to this card. The other Darkrai X, Dark Cloak ability. Each of your Pokemon has any Dark Energy attached. There's no retreat cost. We never use Night Spirit. Not even going to go over that. I've never used that attack once in this deck. Actually, matter of fact, I've never attacked with that Darkrai since it's been in Standard. Like, when that card released, I never used it as an attacker. Like when Dark Explorers was just released, I was playing VGC because I hated the TCG format. Like Mewtwo literally just completely like changed the whole thing, and then Darkrai comes out, and everybody and their grandmother's running Darkrai Mewtwo. So I was just like, yeah, no. But anyway, we're gonna get to Darkrai Prism. Now this one's a very interesting addition because we have 12 Darkness Energy in this deck, so it is a very good idea to have this option in here, because if you draw into 2 dark and you have the draw supporter in your hand, you can basically trade Pokemon Communication or Ultra Ball for the Darkrai Prism and drop it, attach the 2 dark from your hand, and then use your shuffle draw supporter like Colress, or discard draw supporter like Sycamore. So the Nightmare Star is the only reason you use this. However, I've used Abyssal Sleep once. And the only reason why was because I was like, okay, if my opponent doesn't have Guzma in their hand, then I win. Basically, Via Seeker Guzma. They have 4 Via Seekers in the discard pile, and then already used all of them. And then they had used 1 Guzma. I was like, if they have another Guzma, I mean that's game. If not, then, and they didn't. So I ended up winning with Abyssal Sleep. So, the cool thing about Abyssal Sleep, for 4 dark, does 120 damage. Opponent's active Pokemon's not asleep, but your opponent flips 2 coins instead of 1 between turns if either of his tails is still asleep. So, Darkrai Level X from back in the day did the same thing, pretty much, with the exception that with its attack. The only exception was if your opponent flipped 2 tails, it was knocked out. That was fun. It was really fun. Let's see. This one, everybody probably already knows what this does. You can't run Darkrai EX without this card because it's literally just too good. I only play 1. And the reason why is because I had to make room for other stuff in the deck. And besides, Restoration is actually the only good thing about this card, to be honest. And the fact that you have access to Hydreigon later with Lance Prism just makes it so much easier. Restoration, once your turn before you attack this Pokemon's in your discard pile, you may put it in your bench, then attach a Dark Energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon. 2 dark for dark, and a colorless for Dark Cleave. 130, Texas damage is infected by resistance. Never used it. I have used Dead End before with the Malamar. Yes, I have. It was pretty fun. I actually used that to win against Sylveon. They had a lone Sylveon up and active, so I attached the Dark to Malamar. I Leylayed for the Lance because they had hit for 110 the last turn. So I ended up Lance Prism Star for the Hydreigon. I moved the Darkness Energy to the Darkrai GX, retreated, moved the last one, and then just dead end for the game. It was pretty cool. So, I mean, it is an option. That Dead End GX is an option. But I only run 1 of it. Another card I run 1 of, Hoopa. The only real reason this is even in here is for Rogue Ring. Search your deck for 2 cards and put them in your hand. Shuffle your deck. That is actually pretty good. For a Darkness Energy, it can literally just set the game up. And something like Yveltal, the baby Yveltal, can either set up or kind of work maintenance for the mid-game, because sometimes you really need to focus more on the energy attachments throughout the remainder of a game if your opponent is running heavy energy denial. And then at that point, it's just a process of, can your opponent knock out enough Pokemon in time to where they won't lose all their resources. And the only real way that you lose as far as like to energy denial is if your opponent's running Oranguru and 4 lookers, whistle, and stuff like that. It's crazy deck. But and even sometimes I've seen a Zoroark deck my buddy Saito was playing. He was playing it with the Dragonite that pulls I think it's a fast called Dragonite. And it basically searches the deck for the looker. But what he'll do is he'll search the deck for the looker the turn before, and then he'll basically use the Oranguru to put the cards on the bottom of the deck. And then he would use and then after he got the cards, he would then like use a POW pad he just discarded, or put a looker from the discard pile on the bottom of the deck and draw it with looker with like two other cards like energy. Now it was kind of weird, but so basically Zorak or Rangaroo, but he had like the Dragonite. It was pretty cool. But anyway, this Rogue Ring is pretty much the only reason I use this. Dark Strike really isn't that impressive. Devilish Hands can come in handy, especially against Night March. Against Night March, Devilish Hands may be your only win. Your only possible way to win. And the reason I say that is because because literally they're just gonna 1-for-2 prize you all the time, and it's like you got to take advantage of those shamans. Like you're like, okay, so I put any amount of damage on that Mars Shadow. Guess what's gonna happen? Devilish Hands to maybe like 1 or 2 times to knock it out, and then like the other 4 times to knock out a shaman. And it's like, okay, so I can take like maybe 2 or 4 prizes at the most. And sometimes you're just like, I can hit with some small something like the Yveltal and be like, okay, so I can goose him up the shaman, attack with Oblivion Wing, and it's like, okay, so at this point I've got like a 3-turn clock where I have to take these knockouts pretty fast, because if I don't, I'm gonna lose. Like you cannot exchange with Night March effectively against with this deck. And Devilish Hands is really the only way to do it. And don't get me wrong, I don't think I'm not under the impression that you can do this to any of the Night Marchers, as you can't. What I'm referring to was being able to knock out the Shaman or the Mars Shadow, because they play like 3 Mars Shadow and like 2 or 3 Shaman, and almost all the time you're going to see both of them on the bench. Very rarely will you ever see them like not on the bench, so that's also an option. The Malamar, we only use Hyper Hypnosis. I'm not going to read Maximar because it's stupid. Whenever you touch an energy from your hand to this Pokemon, you may use this ability. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. End of story. It's the only reason we use it. Yeah, exit out. Yveltal. The only reason we use this, Oblivion Wing. For 1 dark, does 30 attach a dark energy from discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. Like I said, there's plenty of combinations you can make with this. You can trade pretty poorly, but you can certainly swing a game with Yveltal if you play it correctly. If you can utilize things like Guzma, if you can find those Via Seegers. There are some games that you can literally steal with Yveltal, because it just gives you that odd price trade, and your opponent has to knock out 4 Pokemon. Because most of the time, if you put down Yveltal, you're not putting down Darkrai Prism. So, and even most of the time, they're not going to try to knock out a Hydreigon, because most of the time, they're under the pressure that they got to knock out those attackers. Like, taking 2 prizes in 1 attack is much better than just it's basically better to take out the source of the problem take out the problem itself rather than the source of the problem. Wow, chat is dead tonight. So basically, let's see. We also got this Hydreigon. Dark Trance is often used light during your turn. Move a Darkness energy from attached to one of your Pokemon to another one of your Pokemon. So that is actually the reason it's in here. It's actually really good. We never use Dragon Blast. I don't want this Pokemon attacking for any reason. And then this Hydreigon. Its ability Dark Impulse. Once your turn before you attack, you may attach a Dark Energy card from your discard pile to one of your active Pokemon. To your active Pokemon. This is actually really good, guys. The reason I like this so much is because this gets more energy onto the board for Darkrai, and just gives you a lot better chance to accelerate the pace of the game to the point where your opponent's like, okay, so now my maybe 6 or 8 turn clocks become like a 3 or 5 turn clock, to the point where I literally have to think fast. Otherwise, like once they take that first knockout on, say, like sometimes it'll be an Yveltal or even like a Darkrai Prism I just threw up there because like you got to deal with this now. Sometimes they're just like, well, gotta knock this out. So then Lance Prism, the Hydreigon, sometimes I'll take 2 of these instead of 1 of this and 1 of the other. The reason I would do that is if my opponents also play in energy acceleration, and it's basically a race to who gets what first. So that's the reason why. Everybody knows what Lele does. I'm not clicking on Lele. B-String. I run this specifically for Guzzlord, and it's really amazing because Hoopa can search this card out. So that's the main reason I have that in here, and it's actually really good. Players do not understand like how good Beast Ring actually is, especially when you can threaten Glutton GX like immediately. And it's just like if you have a VS, usually Guzma's going to be the discard pile. If you can threaten a VS Seeker to Guzma in your hand, and you have a Guzzlord period on that field, your opponent can literally just be like, I don't know. But at the same time, Beast Ring just powers up Darkrai. And with the other Hydreigon, I mean, it just moves stuff around. You also have Dark Patch. For those of you who don't know what this is, it's a touch of basic Dark Energy from your discard pile to one of your benched Dark Pokemon. That's pretty much it. Everybody knows what Max Elixir does. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck, attach a basic energy card you find under the basic Pokemon on your bench, shuffle the other cards back in your deck. It's actually pretty simple. I'm sure everybody remembers Pokemon Communication. Choose one of your Pokemon in your hand, show it to your opponent, put it on top of your deck. If you do, search your deck for a Pokemon, show it to your opponent, put it in your hand, shuffle your deck afterward. Yeah. Okay, so basically Pokemon in your hand to a Pokemon in your deck. Is basically, whoop, swap. Basically Pokemon Trader back in the day. Ultra Ball, everybody does Ultra Ball does. I'm not even clicking on this. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what VS Seeker does. Just put a supporter from your discard pile in your hand. Skyfield, I'm sure most of you know what this does. Each player can have 8 Pokemon on his or her bench. I like this card. Especially since it can make room for things like Lele or a second Lele, which I've done before. I've been like, okay, I'll Skyfield, make room for a second Lele. And they get rid of something, and I thought, okay, my Hydreigon's already gotten the energy off of like a Darkrai Prism, and I've got like a Lele or 2 on the bench, and the other one may be an Eviltal or a Hoopa or something with no energy or 1 energy. I'm like, okay, I should get rid of that. It doesn't matter. For supporter count, this kind of looks a little weird because this is a very small supporter count. 2 Colress. Everybody knows why. I mean, if you run Skyfield, you got to run Colress. No exception. Guzma. Everybody knows what Guzma does. Lance Prism, some of you might not know. You can only play it if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn. Search your deck for up to 2 Dragon Pokemon, put them on your bench. That's why the Hydreigons are in there. That's basically... reason why this deck works so well. And then you have Nenu. Choose a basic Dark Pokemon in your discard pile and switch it with one of your Pokemon in play. Any touch cards, damage cards, special conditions, turns in play, and other effects remain on the new Pokemon. I actually thought about playing Zoroark, or thought about playing Zoroark at Greensboro with Nanu in the deck, and focus early game on Nanu, and focus the mid early game on Faba, against like the mirror and stuff. But Nenu is absolutely amazing. And the best thing about this card is that at any point you can basically take a Lele. You can use it for like any supporter you want. And then just any point you're like, okay, I just had a Darkrai knocked out or something. And I was like, okay, Nanu, whoop whoop, swap. It's actually good. I like it. Everyone else does Sycamore does. I probably don't even need to click on it. And I'm sure none of you know what Dark Energy does, do you? That's kind of a difficult card to comprehend, huh? But no, I'm kidding, guys. Okay, I was just making sure that I'm still recording. Okay, so yeah, I've gone a little too far. I'm probably not even going to show you guys a game because you guys probably rather just see the deck and test it for yourself. Especially because the ladder's not really the best method for watching a deck. It's better just to build it yourself and test it. But no, guys, this is the deck. Is it perfect? No. Is it finalized? Absolutely not. I am still trying to go over any problems I may have with this deck. So far, I haven't really had any problems, other than maybe that once or twice during a game I need to get a specific Pokemon and I don't have the Communication or Ultra Ball. That's why I run 4 of each, so I have a better shot at getting the Pokemon. And usually, when I need Lance, I can get it with Lele, because generally I don't use Lele outside of turn 1 and when I need Lance. Just the only times I really ever use it. Especially because most of the time I can Colress, I can grab a Colress because there's so many basic Pokemon in this deck. There's, I want to say, 12 basic Pokemon in this deck. So the chances are that I'm going to be able to pile up enough Pokemon. My opponent's going to be able to pile up enough Pokemon where Colress makes it worthwhile. And then it just becomes much more convenient to not even worry about things like Battle Compressor. And people are like, why not play Battle Compressor? The reason why Dark Patch isn't really for like the early game acceleration. It's more for the, can you keep up during the mid-late game, and Dark Patch is there to help you. Beast Ring is more for your opponent has taken that first like EX knockout, and it's like, okay, Beast Ring to Guzzlord, let's get more energy on there for Darkrai, or just let Guzzlord do its own thing. So, but this is the deck, guys. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe. Post any comments you have in the comment section down below. And as always, hope you guys have as much fun as I've had. I'll see you guys next time at Shifty's Club.